8th of July, Saturday, 8 minutes to 10 a.m. in the morning in Australia. Here's my latest video blog. I've decided to do this blog today because I want to share some truth. What I'm realizing in these videos is, and I don't have any grand plan. Like I said, when I first started this, I decided to just research and share, and I was practicing my videos, and I have mentioned this before. And I was also boosting up my Steem blog and things like that, and there's been some things that have come across, I've come across in the last 4 months, so some realizations, and these realizations are all relevant to my position personally. So they're not necessarily going to relate to everyone based on their experiences in the crypto world or in the crypto space, and there's a whole heap of things that I want to share in relation to all of this, and I probably want to call out a few other people on YouTube as well. So where am I going to start? First off, what I want to do is I want to mention that I think we need to be very, very careful about how we perceive the investment of cryptocurrencies. Now, I'm going to also remove the name cryptocurrencies. They're not necessarily currencies. We've got some. We did. Bitcoin was, and I think that's what the preemptive, suggestive direction of this entire sector was based around currencies. I think we need to look at them as assets. So crypto assets or blockchain assets. Okay. Now there's a couple of videos I'm going to do. Not in this one, and they're going to be on 2 ICOs. And the thing about these 2 ICOs is that I'm going to get invested in them. But there's a reason why I'm doing the video, okay? And I'm also going to disclose why I'm doing those videos, because it's not just about me coming out here and pushing an agenda. And the thing is, I'm not going to do that anymore. And I wasn't even doing it before. I was excited about this entire sector, and I was trying to learn and absorb. And I've been watching the graphs pretty much. It feels like 24 hours a day for the last 4 months. I'm almost exhausted from the entire emotional ride, and that's because I got in really early. So there's going to be a couple of things in my next few videos, and I hope that you join me for them in the next, especially in regards to the 2 ICOs, and I'm going to disclose that. But what I wanted to talk about today is that let's get real about our investments. Let's get real about the entire, the entire crypto asset sector. If you're looking to get into this and you're looking to put your money down, just be aware that there's 4 types of people that are investing into this entire space. Now, for me, there's people who got in early. Okay, so I consider myself early, but if I can compare to someone who got into Bitcoin in 2010, I mean, if they spent, I think it was something ridiculous like $10 of coins or $1,000 of Bitcoin, and it's now worth $14 million. I mean, you could, and it's probably even more now, or it's corrected a little bit, but you know what, they're not complaining. So, they're the early adopters. I'm fortunate that I got in quite early, and early in regards to 2017, because we've seen the second biggest push forward in this entire sector, which means someone with a lot of money, and I think it was a collective bunch or a collective few major corporate interests decided to really inject, and there was no doubt there was a domino effect, and we saw a massive run, and 3 million people across the world have decided to go and invest into cryptocurrencies. And if you got in January, February, March, right at this moment, you're probably doing okay. So there's the people who got in early. Then there's the whales. Like I said, the whales are someone who's got a lot of money. More money, more digits on the screen than we could ever probably comprehend. And they've come in and injected and even inflated the market, because the market was so small at that stage that their money was so big that it infected, is probably the right word, and affected and had major influence on the overall market cap and the prices. So a lot of the ups and downs and corrections were based on a very, very select few. Now, we also see that when it comes to pumps and dumps. Now, pumps and dumps are smaller moments in time for a particular cryptocurrency, and I'm going to run through that very quickly. So we've got the people who got in early, we've got the whales. Number 3 is the under 20s. Now, it's a again, I'm not being patronising. I'm just using it as a general understanding. Okay, as you get a little bit older, you sort of get a perspective of how you perceived yourself back at that time. And I sort of, when you read the comments and things in some of these social media forums like Telegram, where the new age and the new generation is really has embraced this technology, and you see them, sharing gifts and talking about Lamborghini. So you've got the Lamborghini under 20s, and now these are the guys that know someone who's done really well. They probably got in early, and they've made a lot of money. They had some friends at college or something, they're a millionaire, right? They got a Lamborghini, and they probably did. They probably literally got a Lamborghini. Now what happens is they've come and pulled in a lot of their money, and I think they're susceptible to a lot of emotion. So there's a lot of emotion in these telegrams. There's a lot of pump, dump, and a lot of price talk about, a 15-minute moment on a chart, and they go, oh, the price is going up, oh, the price is going down, and it's like it's fairly mind-numbing and ridiculous. Like it's hard to actually stay in there for too long. You've got a couple of wise heads, and we want to talk to the devs and things, but then you're surrounded by the Lamborghinis and other gifts and things like that. And I think that anyone that's invested, if you're looking at a 15-minute window for a $10 gain on a $50 note, I think you're in the wrong place, and I think you really need to just stop what you're doing. Take a step back and understand that investing is not about making $5 on a 50. It's not. And I understand that when you're younger, you don't have a lot of money, and I do get that, and $50 or $400 paycheck or whatever it is seems like a lot. I remember when I was earning that type of money, I thought I was a millionaire, when you first come out of school. But, if you're putting $100 down on these investments and getting worried about losing $20 on it and then pulling it out at 80 and sort of, blaming everyone else around you for the pump and dump and the emotion, you can only blame yourself, because I'd actually say you're a fool. You're only a fool based on ignorance, and you haven't been taught any better. And that's not necessarily your fault. But what you can do is go and understand how markets work and understand what investment means. Then we've got the fourth person, and that's our friends. Now, this is the scenario, a very dangerous scenario, where we're very excited. Now, I could be somewhat guilty of this, and it's hard to hold back your excitement when you do really well. And I will say that I've done pretty well in this entire crypto asset space arena. However, it hasn't changed my world to the point where I've got big plans, and I want it to go more. So what I'm doing is I'm holding. But what I am getting to is that it's easy to go and tell your friends and say, look, you've got to get into the space. Here's my favorite cryptos, and I've done videos like that, not with any real major push, but just sharing my experiences. And you want to set them up on Bitshares. You want to show them how to download wallets, and they might get $1,000 and put it in, and all of a sudden the following week it's down 20%. So there's some dangers there. I think if you are going to talk to your friends, I think again you've got to come back to the Lamborghini under 20s, and you've got to look at them and talk to them about, do they understand what they're getting into? Do they understand that this is an investment, which for me an investment means that it's just long term. I'm not interested. I mean, it's always nice to make fast money, but is that real? I mean, is that a really genuine objective and possibility? It might be, and there's some manipulators out there. I mean, a lot of the manipulation that goes on is already by people who have got lots of money. They're the ones that can. I mean, they've already got $1 million. They've got a little bit here, a little bit there. They've got a bit of play money, and they can put $100,000 in and make 10 grand in 20 minutes. Someone's got $100 and makes $10. Hasn't changed their life, and they're playing with more risk than anything else. I mean, you want to be able to pay your bills by the end of the week, and so we've got to be really careful about how we express ourselves on YouTube. And I'm definitely going to be sharing full disclosure now. What I'm getting to with that is that we've got to be, from my point of view, sharing to the people who are watching your videos. I want to make sure that you show due diligence on your own. I'm only giving you information. I'm not giving you advice. And when it comes to your friends and people around you, I think you've got to take even more care because you don't want to lose someone special, or you don't want to make an error in judgment because of your own excitement and own emotion. And at the moment, what I wanted to do is just run through these graphs. Now, what the name of this video is, warning, what do I decide to call it? Shark-infested waters, something like that. I haven't actually tagged a video because I'm still doing it. I haven't actually finished it yet, but something like that, shark-infested. Now, if anyone's been following my videos, and people like Webbot Report, there's talk about shark teeth. Now, I think everyone knows what a shark tooth looks like. Now, you can see these shark teeth at different perspectives when you look at charts. Now, charts can be 15 minutes, charts could be a day, charts could be 3 days, charts could be a month, could be a year, could be a decade. So when you move in and out of the chart, you're going to see ups and downs, these shark teeth. So sometimes shark teeth, you probably see shark teeth more often or not when they're in the crypto space, or especially at the moment, because we've got pump and dump groups, okay, and I'm going to cover that in a minute. But we've also got news, like even with the stock market, there's a bit of news, there's a bit of a pump. They always say, buy on the rumour, sell on the news, because the big boys always allow it to inflate. And the thing about the big boys too is when there's an all-time high or a perceived top, what they're going to do is they're going to take their profit. That is what they do. If you're buying at the top of these pictures, you're going to definitely be in for a bit of a surprise. And this is where the Lamborghini under 20s don't get it. And these kids are buying on the high. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run through what this means. Now, I've just written these are type of little possible different graphs. I mean, this one is a long-term type of graph, and I've actually got it here on the computer as well. But this could be over a month. This could almost represent the entire crypto space over the last 4 months. Now, if I open up this graph, and I know there's some people who are on phones, so I'm going to go full screen on this. So if you are on a phone, you can see it. Okay, so it's going to take a little bit of thing, and it's going to bring it back. All right, so that's from 18th of April to 6th of July. April, May, June, July, 4 months. Let's say 4 months. And what I don't show here, and I can actually bring it out a little bit, just bear with me, and it's pretty fast. I don't want to. There we go. So you can see it's fairly flat, but if you actually go back to January and February, it rose up a little bit more. But if you're in April, all of a sudden, it's gone from 25 billion to 50 billion. That's a double. Each one of those lines is $25 billion in the market cap, and then it got up to 115. And in my previous videos, I talked about how it's dropped down a few. So, would it be wise for me to be suggesting anyone buy in right now, July 2017, after a retracement of around about, what have we seen, 25%? Well, we'll call it 25%. Probably not. It's easy for me to do so because I'm so excited. I've made all this money. Oh, wow, I want all my friends to do really well, and I want you to get your Lamborghini before Christmas. However, what we see here is we see that we're already at a high. Now, this is at a high in regards to the market cap's never been at this level before. Speculation could go up, could go down, and I get that. So we've got to be really mindful. Now, if I look back at, this is the one underneath is October 26th to 2013, 2014. This is the first big push. It's a little bit different because the market cap was so small. It was, 100 million, right? Difference to 100 billion, 10 times bigger now. But 7 years ago, it was 10 times smaller. And we've got these bigger, it was probably very fast, increase from not much, under 500 million up to 1,500 million, and then it retraced very, very aggressively in 1 month, back to half 500 million, and then back up to 1,500. Sorry, it got up to 200 million, and then it came back, and then we saw this. Look at this manipulation. This is nothing ever goes in a vertical line like this without it being a major player. It's just, that's not organic growth. That's not the general population putting in 10% of their paycheck over 6 months and watching the organic growth of an entity. That's a manipulation, and a lot of it could have just been buying a whole heap of stake. So these are the type of people who are now playing the game in 2017 because they've got multiple millions and billions of tokens in particular crypto assets. So you've got to be very mindful, and you can see it's come back. Now let's just go fast forward to 28th of July. You can see it's retraced. Now it's easy for me, if I was in here early in 18th of November, to get really excited and tell all my friends about it. How many people are still sitting on their assets because they bought in at the high on a lot of these? Be a lot. Okay, so again, you've got to be very, very careful about what you tell people around you. Now, I'm just going to close that one. Open this and just bring this one out. So the shark teeth. Now, the shark teeth is the pumps. Now, I'm going to give you an example. I like Verge. Verge is a privacy coin. Okay, in the last 3 days, so on here we've got 7th to 6th, 7th, 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 8th. Now, it's got news coming out. It's got a really good roadmap. The community's strong. Lots of Lamborghini under 20s and some old heads like myself who sit out and watch all of this energy. I got in early. I've got a nice handful of these tokens. I do believe in it as a cryptocurrency. It's a bit of a it is a currency, not necessarily an asset. They are going to be doing smart contracts and all sorts of stuff. Where will it be in 3 years? It's more of an investment speculation for me. However, hours before the 7th to 6th, so let's say that's 3 days ago, okay? Just on 2 days ago, depending on what time part of the world you're in. Oh, here we go. So 7th to 4th, saw a little bit of an increase. Okay, it's gone horizontal, and then there was a bit of a pump, and we start to see this energy flowing in. And you know, this was in correspondence with some news. Now, I went and had a look at this. It looked sus to me. There were buy walls at specific points all the way through the order book. The buy walls were moving. The buy wall means that someone with a lot of money is going to put a whole heap of Bitcoin or as orders or sells, either both actually, and what it does is squeezes people into a zone where they buy and sell. So what they're doing is controlling the activity between a buy and sell, and they call it an accumulation by a whale. And what they do is they slowly move it forward, and that's what they do here. Now at the same time, these whales are trading left and right, and they've got lots of coins. I'll put down for 5 million coins or whatever, or whatever it is relative to the asset, and they're making 10%, could be 5%, 6%, or even smaller amounts actually, to 1, 2, 3% as they move between 1 or 2 sats and they climb the ladder. Now, what they've done, and what they do over the next corresponding 3 days, is they move it up, they move these buy walls, and everyone gets excited, and you see in the Telegram, they go, oh, we just smashed through a buy wall. It's like, well, did you actually smash through that buy wall? No, what the big whale has done is, and there's no doubt some bigger money does come in, and that's what this is about. People see movement and volume. People, other traders are watching volume, and they start to move over to Verge because they can start to see that over this particular 2 or 3 days it's starting to climb, and then someone buys a whole heap, and you'll see these little spikes where someone, and it gets a lot of energy and it triggers a whole heap of stop losses and whatnot, and then we see it keep growing over the next 3 days, and there's lots of energy, and people are on Twitter and Facebook, and it creates a bubble of energy for this particular cryptocurrency within this 3-day period, and then all of a sudden, boom, drops. Now, Verge has had a retracement of almost a complete 100%. So like it started at about 130. I bought just a little handful more at 132, which is at the bottom of this candle. Why? Because I identified that it was going to go. Okay, so I went, no, I've got my signal, I'm buying. Now, I'm not a trader. Now, I've thought this may be the big push to a new market value. So what that means is it creates new energy. It goes from 132, it goes up, and it may have retraced, and I knew it would go to about 180. I didn't know it was going to go to exactly 180, but it was going to go to a figure, and then it might bounce back, and then it might settle at 160 or 170 for the next week or so, and then it might move over 200 sats and so forth. I mean, that's what normal organic type of trading or growth of an asset would do. It would actually climb up, and then it might retrace maybe 20-30% based on a Fibonacci, and there's different percentages and things, and it all relative to the individual moment in time. However, this one has come right back down. Now, we've seen this a lot in cryptocurrency. Now, I call this a shark tooth. This is definitely a shark tooth. This is not organic. However, some people with weak hands is what they call it. Some people panic so much that it drops down right down back to what, 137. So it's only 5 sats over what I bought it for 3 or 4 days ago. I didn't sell, by the way. I'm not worried about this graph. The difference between me and maybe someone else is that I'm holding all of my cryptocurrencies or crypto assets or blockchain assets for 3 years, so 2-3 years. Sure, it's going to stress me out. I'm just accumulating at the moment. I've made even, I'm going to be telling anyone and everyone to just have an accumulation mindset. Only buy right at the dips. There's no such thing as a low or a dip because we're in a retracement. And if I go back to that market cap graph, you'll see that even though some of these coins are going ups and down, and we got that, the whole market is actually shifting downwards. Okay, so any one of my friends that's getting involved, be prepared to see the markets possibly as a whole retrace for another period of time. I don't even want to tell you how long because I don't have that information. It could be 1-2 months, whatever it is, and then, but that doesn't mean it's going to keep growing. I do believe, and when you look at trend lines and things like that, medians and things like that, there's no doubt that the whole market will go. But be very, very careful that if you are buying at this top, if you do choose to make, and it's not always an emotional decision, it is hard. If you like the asset, you like the technology, you've been in the Telegram groups, everyone's going, yes, I'm in, and you're contributing to that energy, and you want to be in this cryptocurrency or asset, you have to be prepared for the loss. You really do. You have to be prepared. It's not a loss unless you sell, but you have to be prepared for the figure to look a bit gloomy on your portfolio, and it's going to be in the negative. You haven't lost anything. Just wait 3 years. You buy high, be prepared for it to drop. However, if it does drop, I would say, well, guess what? You've got a great opportunity to buy a little bit more, bring that average down, and then just hold it for 3 goddamn years. Warren Buffett, hold. Okay? I get the trading stuff. I just don't see how anyone can make that a viable career without having some manipulation or being a part of a group or a pump group, and it's got to be stressful. I've got other things to do in my life rather than sitting there just doing trading. However, I do a little bit of trading, I admit, but not to the point where I'm relying on it. It's only because I've got the opportunity and I'm reading the graph so much I get a bit of a feel. So just be mindful that this shark tooth was manipulated. So what you'll do is you'll see a 2 to 3 increase. It's whales moving the walls around. They get everyone buying in between those walls, and when they move it forward, people see they think, or it's a perceived growth. These whales will probably buy some of the loose coins that are coming into that little section, which also improves their position. And they improve their position all the way up to the top of this shark tooth, and then they may sell at particular points. Now, they may sell 20-30%, they may sell 50%, but they've accumulated 50% in that first 2 days. Right? And they got it at an average where when they sell it at 180, they're walking away with 20, 30,000, 50,000, 100,000, who knows how much money they're putting down on these. Whereas the young Lamborghini's going to put $200 to $100 down at 180, and now he's down $40. Actually, he'd be down whatever it is, $50 almost. It's not that much, but he'd be down $20, $30. He hates the world. Can't go out on the weekend. Doesn't have any. He's probably got 4 of his mates to do it as well, and they're all like having a fight in the backyard. So be very, very careful about trading, just investing in the crypto space. What you've got to do is you've got to expand it all the way out. I think expand all the way out to a month. If you go to a lot of these cryptocurrencies and look at their monthly chart, you're going to see that a lot of them, and probably at a pretty good time to have a look at it now, a lot of them have this type of shark tooth. There was a bit of and there might be 1 or 2 of them. They may have gone up a little bit, but just be prepared that there's going to be these moments where it's retracing right in here. Retrace, right down, okay? So what I'd be doing is look at your portfolio. How many coins have you got? How many more can you get over the next 2 or 3 years? Or even, sure, I'll probably say, how many more can you get in the next 6 months? And how often can you buy at a perceived low? If it's gone up, if something's gone up really aggressively, do not buy. Okay, that's just do not buy. Okay, and I've even got this chart here where it's talking about bull traps. Bull trap is where you've got a high pump, and then there's a little bit of a return, and people go, oh good, it's going to go back to normal, but it doesn't, and it retraces. Again, if you have a long-term ideology, you're probably not going to lose. But that's all I wanted to just talk to you about. I don't want to ramble too much, but again, I want to be transparent. I don't want to push an agenda. I think that the lessons here is just go long-term. Have a look at these cryptocurrencies from a monthly view or even a little bit further. Just buy on lows, have a look at that month and try to make it an assertion. Is it 60% less than the high? If it is, pretty good rule, Fibonacci rule. If it's 60% lower than the high and it's a really good crypto asset and you really like what they're bringing to the table, then it's probably a good decision to maybe buy. If it's at a high, yes, you could buy in because you just want some. You go, yeah, I'm in. But if it drops, you can only blame yourself. But at the end of the day, look 3 years ahead. If it does drop, you've got to buy again on the way down. That's the only way it works. That's the only way you can do this game without feeling depressed. If you do one trade and lose 20% in perceived value, and like I said, you don't lose anything unless you sell it, then you've only got yourself to blame. If you do that and you're only looking at one trade, then you're probably in the wrong place. You need to be making more than one trade to improve your position over a longer period of time. So that's all I got. Be mindful that there are sharks in the water. Now these sharks are taking up people's emotional energy, and they're taking the weak hands, and they would have accumulated all of this this free money in here based on just it's the illusion of growth. So the only growth that is ever really clear in this industry or a particular coin is something that's perceived over multiple months. It's never done over 3 days. Okay, you're playing with we're playing danger, and I should put the Jaws music on, boom, 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 because at the end of the day, you're going to pretty much get bitten. And I think there's a lot of people out there who are getting bitten right now because, like I said at the beginning of that coin market cap, we're still at a high. Could it retrace 2 or 3 months? I think it could. But there's no doubt there's a lot of energy in this space at the moment. So it's one of those I'm not sure periods. So you're either in or you're not. If you are in right now, be prepared that you're going to have to buy back multiple times to improve your position because we might retrace. But have a good weekend. I want you to, I don't want you to do anything, but you can, if you want to check out my next 2 videos, I'm going to be sharing my thoughts on 2 ICOs and I'm going to tell you why. So thanks for watching, guys.